Hi, my name is Jessica Voorsanger and welcome to my Hospital Rooms workshop. My art practice is predominantly, for a really long time, the focus has been about celebrity and popular culture. But one of the things that has been overriding and has been present the whole time, which is interesting for me, has been pattern, color, and costume. So I'm really interested in fabrics and clothes and that kind of thing. And I love domestic patterns and fabrics and, you know, wallpapers and tiles. And I use a lot of curtains to make things. And so that's what this workshop is about. Rhythm, algorithm, and pattern. This is all about looking at patterns and looking about how to make patterns and how to then make something with that. Now, if you look here, this is an example of the kind of thing we're going to do today. So it's a collage, it's an algorithmic drawing that we've chopped up, and then it's a drawing that we've done, and we've put all these things together, but we also did some drawing into the top of that. So taking that aside, I'm going to take you through my process, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is an algorithmic drawing. So let me explain what that is. So an algorithmic drawing is basically creating a set of rules for yourself. So you know, sort of parameters, guidelines, but you're the one who decides what they are. So for example, a really easy example of showing you what that is I'm making this sort of rectangular sort of drawing, but I'm making sure I dissect it each time. You see how I've gone into my rectangle every time? And it's very angular, so there are no curves in this drawing. You can take it in different directions and you can do anything you want with it. But the one that I'm going to do today with you, this is it in a very simple way, is it's a line. And then I'm taking these half circles, these semicircles, and then I'm moving it around my line. Okay, now this is the starting point for my pattern. And now I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to do the opposite. Oops. I did the same. Now that's something that I think is quite fun, actually, is when you make a mistake, because mistakes can be fantastic and you don't know what's going to happen from them. Okay, now the thing is, I don't want to just do this, I want to make it more complex. So I'm going to turn it the other way, and then I'm going to do the drawing again, but I'm going to dissect it into the drawing that's already there. And now it's getting denser, isn't it? And it's becoming a more interesting kind of space, all right? Now, the one that I wanted to do with you for our drawing, I'm going to start it on a yellow piece of paper, because that's a great way of bringing color into your work by starting on something that already has a color. So choose anything you like, but one thing, I love color. I use a lot of color in what I do. And guess what? Boo-boo, I've already made one. So this is my algorithmic drawing already made. And I'm going to show you how I'm then going to cut it up. So I've decided I want to keep it quite grid-like and formal in that sort of graphic way. You can see that I've actually drawn lines on the back, but the key thing is I actually folded it at those lines, because when you fold the paper at those lines, it makes it really easy to then cut it, and you have a nice clean cut. So here, I'm going to use my straight edge ruler, and on the edge of that line, I'm pulling it against the straight edge, and I'm now able to cut my, well, we could do it this way, couldn't we? Although I can't see the line. So I'm going to put it back this way. Here, we've got all of our algorithmic drawing pieces. Okay, so what's next? We need to do the drawing. Okay, so we're going to do, well, kind of painting actually. Now, did I show you what materials I'm using? I can't remember if I did, so I'm going to show you now because it's important that you see what I'm using, but you can use anything you want. So I'm using acrylic paints. Okay. Okay. So any colors you like. I'm also using some magic markers. Okay, so these aren't fancy. These are just, you know, standard, nice old fat tip black magic markers. I've also got my glue stick, my straight edge, which you've already seen me use. I have my brush, my water, my paint's in a palette, and I've got a nice rag. Actually, it's paper towel because, you know, you want to be able to wipe your brush on it when you're cleaning it. And I've got something here, which is for reference, and my Sharpie. Gotta have a Sharpie. Love drawing with a Sharpie. Okay, so this is my reference material. Now, this is a lovely book on different kinds of patterns. And these are floor patterns, mostly. So this one is tile, and this is the one over here. This is the one that I want to focus on. Now, when I first saw it, I thought it looked like flowers, but actually, I also think it looks kind of like a butterfly. And I'm going to take the basis of this idea, and I'm going to translate that into my own drawing. Now, like the other page that I showed you, I have folded it. Now, what I did last time, I didn't really show you how I did it. I just showed you that it was folded. So if you just keep folding and dissecting your page in half, and then in half again, and then in half again, and here's a tip. You want to, when you fold it both ways. Don't just fold it one way, fold it the other way, because that gives you the sharper edge, which is really great, okay? Now, you take these, okay, so now this is going to make it easier for when I cut it up, right? But first I'm going to draw into it, I'm going to do my painting. And you saw what my initial inspiration was, which was that sort of flower butterfly shape. So I'm going to make that now. I'm going to start coloring these in, and I thought it would be fun here if I alternated. So here I'm going to have a blue background. Okay, I've put quite a bit of water in this paint, so it's a little bit more like watercolor. Okay, okay, and I'm going to go into the next one here. So the background on both of these is going to be blue. Okay. And then I'm going to use my markers to do the stuff that is a little bit smaller. So these parts that I'm coloring in on the inside. Okay, so imagine that I've finished that. Okay, I want you to see now that I'm going to do the same with this one, but I'm going to use yellow. Okay, and now I want to start coloring some of these in, right? So just going to have a little peek. Now this one is going to be a sort of orangey. Now I'm going to do the green. So I'm going to use green against the blue. And look at how that color pops. Isn't that beautiful? The way the green just sits so nicely against the blue. Okay, so I'm only going to do 2 of those there. And now, because I love pink, I'm going to add a little bit of pink. I'm going to put pink in my dots. But I didn't do any of these stems. So my stems on this one is blue. It looks like I've done a terrible job, but as I said, sometimes mistakes make things more interesting. But here, ta-da, I've got a whole page that's already finished, okay? Now, with our beautiful already finished page, I'm gonna start cutting those up. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do something a little tricky, just because I feel like it, and because nobody says you can't change the rules as long as, you know, as you're going along, because you're the one making the rules, right? So I think one of the key things about making artwork is that you enjoy it and you have fun doing it, you know. I think everything that we do as professional artists, you know, I think it has to be for us first and then it's for you. Because if we don't enjoy it and we don't enjoy what we've made, why should you, right? So I think it's important for it to be important to you. Now, look, I've got loads of these and I've sort of, it's not an abstract, it's still very much what it was, which is this sort of butterfly shape. But now, because I've cut it in half, it's not as obviously that. So I can have my petals going all in the same direction. I can have them going in different directions. I can alternate the colors. I can do the, you know, do them as a grid, the colors like that. Now, you might notice that I am using a blue piece of paper this time, okay? So those of you who watched me when I was cutting the piece of paper, this painting up, saw the blue piece of paper under there, but I'm just using it because, as I said, I want to have I'm adding another layer of colors and another part. Now look, I'm bringing in my algorithms, and as you already know, I'm sure, blue and yellow are complementary colors, which means they set each other off really beautifully. And look at how those colors are really popping. And this is where I take my glue and I start to put those down. Now, because I'm a little bit pressed for time, I'm not going to do it as perfectly as I would like to, where I really, really glue in each of those corners and make the whole thing super, super tidy. But I wanted to demonstrate for you how, first I decided what I wanted it to look like, and then I started gluing it down. Okay, taking my pen. So you can, because when you paint a pattern, you get quite lost in the aspect of doing that. It is quite meditative and you get sort of almost like you're in a trance. It's really nice. So I've created a new rule, which is every time I see one of the black lines, I have to make it connect to another black line. Okay, so here, this one connects to here. This one, oh no, there's nowhere for it to connect. Okay, now I found a place for it to connect. Here we've got this one. You decide on what the colors are, and you come up with something completely different. So I think that looks actually quite pretty. So you can see that on the screen, I'm sure, but I will hold that up, and you can see that there. So thank you, and hey, when you do something abstracted, is that the top? Oh, is that the top? Oh, wait a minute, is that the top? It's up for you. You decide which one works best. And I think that's the top. So thank you for joining me today at my Hospital Rooms workshop. I'm Jessica Voorsanger, and it's been absolutely fantastic having you here. Bye.